What's up and welcome back to the Gridiron with Chance Aspen. Make sure you subscribe down below and give this video a big thumbs up. Now, enjoy this video. All right, welcome back to my third CFL Thoughts video. If you don't know by now, I do one of these videos every 3 weeks where I give you my 5 CFL thoughts through 3 weeks, and this is the third one through week 9. Here we go. Here's my first thought, and here it is. Right now in the CFL, there is way too much inconsistency with specific players and also teams. And that's a tough thing for the league when you don't really have any teams separating themselves but one. Everybody else, 1 week they look great and they look like they're going to win the Grey Cup. And the next week, they look like they're barely going to make the playoffs or maybe not even make the playoffs. And even with players, guys like Jake Maier. 1 week, Jake Maier, the quarterback of the Calgary Stampeders, looks excellent. He looks fantastic. He looks like an MVP of this league. The next week, he looks like he can barely complete a pass. And he looks like he shouldn't play in the CFL at all. The same thing for Bo Levi Mitchell, the quarterback of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The 1 week against the Edmonton Elks, I know it's the Edmonton Elks, but the Edmonton Elks aren't a bad football team. Everybody else is just so inconsistent. I don't believe Edmonton's that bad of a football team, to be honest. Their record's not great, but in general, they're not that bad. He looks like the old Bo Levi Mitchell when he was on the Calgary Stampeders, dominating, threw 5 touchdowns. And then the next week against the Montreal Alouettes, he struggled. He looked like he didn't belong in the CFL. Same for Vernon Adams Jr. My first CFL thoughts, I said Vernon Adams Jr. is the best quarterback in the CFL. And last week, he only led his team to 4 first downs. I don't even think he had 100 yards passing against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is just the inconsistency I'm talking about. There's way too much inconsistency from players and teams. I don't want to have a player look like the MVP of the league and the best player in the world or the best player in the CFL, and then the next week look like he shouldn't even be on a CFL roster. Or for a team, look like they should win the Grey Cup, they're zooming, they're flying, and then next week they suck and they look like they're not even a great team anymore. Looks like they shouldn't even make the playoffs. That's not a great look for the CFL. I wouldn't call it parity, I would just call it inconsistency. There's way too much inconsistency with players and teams right now in the CFL. And it's not a great look. I don't like watching inconsistent play. I want to watch, look, sometimes you have bad games. I get that. Sometimes bad games happen. But you don't want to watch 1 week they look like the best player, the next week they look like they don't deserve to play in pro football. You don't want to watch that. That's not a good thing to watch. Right now in the CFL, there's a lot of inconsistency. And it's not great for the league. Thought number 2. For all the inconsistencies I'm talking about in the CFL from players and teams, there's one team that is the cream of the crop in the CFL, and that's the Montreal Alouettes. The Montreal Alouettes, down at halftime, pull Caleb Evans, bring in Davis Alexander, leads them to a comeback win over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The next week, they go to Hamilton, beat up on Hamilton, and they're flying high. They're flying high, first in the East, best record in the CFL, without Cody Fajardo either. It's not like they have Cody Fajardo healthy. Cody Fajardo's hurt right now. I suspect he's coming back probably this week, but he's been hurt. And you're starting a third string technically, even though Davis Alexander is now proven to be better than Caleb Evans. And their defense is obviously the cream of the crop in the CFL. Their defense is elite. Every position, it feels like they got an elite guy at every position on the defensive side of the ball. From Tyrese Beverette to Darnell Sankey, Mustafa Johnson, Ento, Murray, Marc-Antoine Dequoy, probably the best safety in the CFL. They're loaded everywhere. Everywhere they are loaded. And if they play their best, if the Montreal Alouettes play their best, they are going to win the Grey Cup. Now, I'm not saying they're winning the Grey Cup, because who knows what happens. We saw that last year with Toronto, where they were the best team, they were cruising, and then they lost in the Eastern Final. So who knows what can happen in the playoffs. I'm just saying, if Montreal shows up and plays their best, they are going to win. They are the Grey Cup favorites. And by a pretty wide margin, they're the Grey Cup favorites. It's not a small margin, in my opinion. They got a pretty big margin that they're the favorites by. Thought number 3. Can Trey Ford become a superstar in this league? Now, what do I mean by that? Because becoming a superstar in any league, it's not just about your game. It's not just about how you play. Or it's not just about what numbers you put up. It's about how you play. How does your game look to the viewers? And Trey Ford has a beautiful game to watch. It's entertaining, it's exciting, it's fun. Not only his ability to pass the football, but also his ability to extend plays with his feet and run the football. He's just an exciting player to watch in the CFL. Right now, there's not really anybody like him. Vernon Adams Jr. a little bit, but Vernon Adams Jr. is becoming more and more a pocket passer in the CFL. But Trey Ford, his ability to throw the ball, he's improved from the pocket tremendously. His ability to throw the ball from the pocket has improved greatly. And we've always known he can run the football. We've always known that he can use his legs and run the ball. That's not been something that we've needed to learn. He's always shown that ability. But he's just fun to watch. And I think if he keeps on this trajectory, now we're going to see how, he's probably going to start the rest of the year as long as he doesn't get hurt. So I'm excited to see these next 3-4 weeks. Teams are going to get more and more and more and more and more film on him. How do they start defending him? How do they start giving him different looks? And how does he adjust to that? That's what I'm really excited to see. And if he can adjust to that, then he will become a bona fide superstar in this league. And really what the league needs. They need quarterbacks like this. They need exciting players like this. Players that make fans want to watch the games. And Trey Ford is one of those players. I'm really excited to see what this guy is going to do in the coming weeks. Thought number 4. Right now in the CFL, there's a looming giant in the Western Division. And that's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Doesn't it feel that way? Doesn't it feel like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, BC loses, Saskatchewan loses, and it just feels like the Bombers are right there in striking distance, sitting at 3-6. Guess what? BC's at 5-3, Saskatchewan's at 5-3. Like, they're right there. It's not like it's a huge gap. And guess what? They play Saskatchewan twice and BC once more. They're right there to take advantage of all of this. Now, I don't think they're going to win the division, but they're right there looming. Like, they wouldn't be one of those teams that I'd want to see in a playoff situation. They're too experienced, and they've been there so many times before that when the pressure arises, they're going to show up. And I know I talked about a couple weeks ago on my last CFL thoughts that the Bombers are back. But really, they were back just because they won. I think right now, they've given me more confidence because Zach Collaros has really started to look like Zach Collaros. He's really starting to throw the football better. They're starting to protect him a little bit better. They've been running the ball excellent. They've been running the ball tremendously. And their defense has really taken a step, in my opinion. I remember I talked about how they've been missing Jackson Jeffcoat, but I think they've kind of solved that. Their defense the last couple weeks has been flying around and making a lot of plays. Turning the football over, getting interceptions, getting to the quarterback, tackling well. They've been doing a lot of things at a high level. All I'm saying is be careful of those Winnipeg Blue Bombers. My 5th and last thought on this week's CFL Thoughts. The Ottawa Red Blacks. Notice how nobody's talking about them right now. Nobody's mentioning them right now. And they're 5-2. Like, I was just thinking, okay, what am I going to talk about for my 5 CFL Thoughts? I almost wasn't going to talk about them. And then I'm like, wait, Ottawa's 5-2. And nobody's speaking about them. They're right now second in the East Division. Drew Brown looks great. They got a good defense. But just nobody talks about them. I just wanted to give them some love because they are playing some tremendous football. And it's been a while since we've been able to say some good things about the Ottawa Red Blacks. They've had some tough years. Credit Bob Dice. But really credit Drew Brown. Credit some of those guys they brought in this offseason. That's kind of changed the culture there a little bit. They've really struggled since Henry Burris retired, really, or since Trevor Harris left there. And now it appears they've got it back on track, and I'm happy to see that. Hopefully they can keep it up. That's my CFL Thoughts video. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Make sure you, again, like this video, subscribe down below. I'm coming out with more NFL Division Deep Dives as this month continues. Remember, I give my CFL Thoughts every 3 weeks. And have an awesome day.